Hey guys, today we've got the Omega 20102. He's been soaking for a while. Trying to break him in, catch him up with my other boars, and so I did soak him for a good bit today. Just lukewarm water, not the fridge water trick that some people do. We're going to put this feather inside of this Gillette Vintage Hybrid Tech. Normally this flat bottom is only seen with an open comb design, but this is the only model that they made with a closed comb like the Techs. Now this feather has 20, 40, 50, about 52 uses on it. Feathers are pretty sharp. They seem to feel, to many people, a little sharper than others. And I know that's kind of how it worked for me when I was just learning this type of shaving. The feathers cut me up more than other brands, and so I put them aside. Oh, and since it's a marathon blade, I put a mark on it. So there's the mark. Put it aside. I revisited the feathers several months later, and my technique had improved. And then I was able to enjoy the feathers pretty well. So if you have blades like that, just set them aside for a while if you're new to this kind of thing. Another difference that we're doing in today's shave is this Dollar Tree bowl. This is exactly the same shape as the white one that I've used a few times on this channel. The white one had the beaded imprint around here. This one doesn't. But the white one is a little difficult to see the lather, see how it was going. So I looked around until I found one that was a non-white color. This was the only option. Today I'm trying a new soap and a new soap maker that I have not tried before. This is a used soap. It's brown, fairly firm. I can make a dent in it with my finger if I really press hard enough. It's pipe smoke from Uncle Jon's. I have heard a little bit about this soap base, that it's not the greatest, not as good as some of the other ones out there. So, but this came in a bulk lot of used soaps that I bought. So let's give it a try. We're gonna load it for a nice long time just in case it needs that. Let's go ahead and start that. Oh, you know what? Let me first splash my face with a little bit of water. I've got 2 days of growth on. Just been up so late that I just get tired, you know. It's a problem with being a night shaver, I guess. I'm going to shake out most of the water just in case. And here we go. I'm going to load it for 45 seconds, and I started at this like the 16 or 17 mark. And so let's go to the 02 mark, which will be 45 seconds. Now this is an Omega brush, very broom-like and stiff when it's dry, like mini boars. If you soak it, and most people agree that you need to soak your boar brushes before use, then the water works its way into the fibers. And there we go. That's 45 seconds. Water works its way in there and softens those bristles. It's really kind of magic. Early folks who don't know you're supposed to soak a boar brush sometimes run into the case where the boar brush eats up the lather because it's dry, and so it sucks the moisture out of the lather because it wasn't pre-soaked. Now this bowl is just kind of a mixing or salad bowl. It's much deeper than many shave bowls that you'll see, but as you can see, it flares out. And so my fingers and brush are not knocking against the sides at all because there's plenty of room. Now it narrows down into a nice round area, and that's what is helping me agitate the lather, because there's not a lot of travel for my brush to go around before he hits something. When he hits something, the bristles bend, and so then that's what causes agitation as the bristles rub up against each other. I've got hard water at this location, and it is lukewarm. We had a warm day today. It's going to start, I think a cold trend is going to come up here, but we are starting to get out of the winter, I think, on the average perhaps. So my supply of cold water is going to be changing temperatures. This brush is slow to break in a little bit. Oh, my Simogues and Zeniths have gotten more comfortable more quickly, but he's not bad. But I'm looking forward to, he's got a different kind of stiffness and a density that the Simogues and Zeniths aren't quite as strong about. And I think he may end up to be a fun, enjoyable brush once that break-in happens. If it happens sooner rather than later, I'd be pleased. Well, so far the lather looks pretty good. This is a kind of a sweet scent. I think the description said caramel tobacco, caramel pipe tobacco maybe, and vanilla, and that's exactly what I smell. See how it, look, it's starting to slide down. That's good. It is holding its shape once it dollops into the bowl. That's something else to notice. Sometimes if they just collapse fully when they get into the bowl, then maybe they're a little too wet. Sometimes that means it's perfect. You just have to judge it based on your own preferences and the soaps that you like, because each soap base is going to behave slightly differently. There's reasonable slickness here. Yeah, feels pretty good. It is a kind of a buttery feeling of slickness, and I like that. It's not just kind of a watery like some of the vegan soaps. I like that kind of slickness. So I've got 2 teaspoons into it. Let's go ahead and put another ½ teaspoon. So this may be one of my favorite lather bowls available for $1. Indeed, it might be better than about, anything I found at any price point at a big box store or at a, easily obtainable in the consumer market where it's not specifically made for shaving. And it's just $1. And if you maybe roughed up the bottom part and siliconed a couple of glass decorator stones in there, then when you put the brush on the side like that, it's not going to slip down, and that'll agitate a little bit. But to be honest, I mean, it's doing a great job by itself. I don't think it needs the agitation. And because of these flared sides, I'm often, pressing the lather back down to be able to work on it, and that's fine. Sometimes it's a sign that if the lather's not falling down back into the brush by itself, with some soaps, that's a sign that you need to keep adding water. Don't think I'll push this soap quite that far today. Now, looks like we've got some good elasticity here. Well, he's hanging on. Doesn't look like he's super consistent yet, so let's work him just a little bit more. Now look at all those kind of spikes and hills and valleys and things like that. Kind of easily able to hold its own shape. I'm going to add more water. 3 teaspoons in it now. This is a short handle, and so it can definitely get a little slippery. And so all I do is put it in the water stream, tilt the brush up, and let the water hit the handle, and it'll clean it right off. It usually doesn't, hydrate your lather. I've also heard that you can take your alum block and to wet your fingers and rub them on the alum for a second, and it'll help your fingers to be able to grab soapy and wet things, but I haven't really felt the need to try that. Well, the lather looks pretty good in terms of quality. Maybe the people who were online that didn't like it, maybe they have super high standards, or maybe they lather differently than me, and so it's just different. Who knows? All right. Maybe it was something by the proprietor. I don't know. All right, get face on my wet. 2 days of growth, and I'm using my feather because I'm curious if the hybrid tech is going to offer the geometry to help this feather to behave. He's definitely not playing very nicely with my more mild razors, and that's to be expected. When you get past 50 or 40, a lot of times you have to find razors with a little different geometry than a flat, mild type of razor. So let's put this lather on, see if I need to add some water. I'm not getting too much prickle here, so that's good. Maybe the long soak I did today and yesterday helped it a little bit. Now you see the kind of the pitting and the rough texture here? That's often a sign that the lather needs more water. So let's do a couple circles, get a little hole there, and let's start adding some water. I don't know if this is a soap that I'm going to be free to add a bunch of water to, or if it's one that I have to leave a little dry. There are definitely some that I just need to work a little drier than I usually do. tilting the brush so that it's pointed down. I don't want those drops of water to come out the handle. Yeah, see, you can see the lather here building up and getting thicker as I'm adding water. So that probably means I'm right to do that. So we've almost got 4 teaspoons in play here. Just raking some of the excess lather off my brush. It'll go flying eventually if I don't. Lather feels pretty good on my face. Go ahead and refill my syringe because I'm going to keep, since this is my first time with it, I want to give a good idea about what kind of water level I need to go with. And when it quits generating lather out the sides as I'm adding the water, then we know that we might be about at the right point. Of course, you can stop anytime you want in this scenario and go ahead and shave. But as you can see, look, we're just generating more and more lather. It just won't be as slick, you know, as you can get it. Looks like 45 seconds. Probably overkill considering how I'm having to water this lather down with just what I had on the brush with the first load. All right, I think we've settled it down now. 4.5 teaspoons. So let's just kind of smooth out what we have. I've definitely done plenty of scrubbing in terms of working the lather into my skin. That's important to get that slickness and protection. And it doesn't look as nice as it often does because I've got a longer stubble. So wow. So here is kind of the concentrate I pulled off the side of the brush, and down here is even a more concentrated lather. Let's see how he does. All right, feather. Let's see if the hybrid tech. I'm getting some tugginess. Definitely tugging. So it doesn't look like this is going to be the razor to take the feather much farther than this. Just never know. Try them out in different razors. Very tuggy in some places. I guess it's possible the lather could be at fault. How does that feel? Yeah, feels good. Feels like it should. Feels like a good lather. So I'm not going to do a lot of buffing. I'm just going to kind of do what I can with the tugginess. I bet second, third pass will be better. All right, for the second pass, I put 1.5 teaspoons into the bowl. And so now we've got 6 teaspoons in the lather fully, because I knew that I had such concentrate in the brush that first pass. Now when the lather is really thick, like that first pass was in the very beginning, that thickness, that extra viscosity because of having a little too much soap, will take a prickly brush like this and make him feel better. And so now that I'm getting the hydration up to where closer to where it needs to be, I'm starting to feel the prickle in the brush again. But that's all right. We'll just keep using it. It's young. It's a boar. That's just the way they work. It's an omega boar as well. In my experience, sometimes those really take a while to break in. I'm getting some tugginess still, so what I'm going to do, I normally do a cross grain pattern. I'm going to switch to a with the grain, kind of like I do on my first pass, and it's much nicer to me. A little bit of tugging. Light hold on the razor, very important. That's a non-shavable area right there. There we go. If you've got a kind of a tuggy scenario like this one of the things I'll do to help that is to make my rinses be with cold water. Calms the skin right down. All right, third pass now. Did a rinse. I have so much lather here. Tons of lather. Now I'll go ahead and do cross grain. Maybe I do 4 passes. Oh wait, it was extra tuggy because I had 2 days of growth. It wasn't. This is an old blade tackling 2 days of growth. That's kind of normal. So yeah, this is a very comfortable shave now. So that first pass, in a way, kind of was there to knock down the extra day. Second pass, probably equivalent to a day 1. I'm sorry, a pass 1. If I had normal growth, you know. Face doesn't feel irritated, so that's good. What kind of closeness do we have here? Let's see some length on a good many tips. Let's go ahead and hit the neck one more time. How does this? It could be better. Why don't we just do another full pass? Definitely got the soap to do it. All right, so just a quick partial rinse there. Load this guy up. Now, boar brushes, when I load them up, I don't just stir around and get some. I like to press down, and it helps that lather to go inside the knot. See, it's wider after doing that. There we go. Doesn't take much, and I've got, man, I don't know, 6 passes in there left. maybe more. Cross grain again, very comfortable as you might expect. This is where using a light touch really comes in handy, because if you end up doing an extra pass, skin will probably thank you for being as light as possible. And now on this last one, this is my trouble spot here. I'm going to go cross grain, but from the bottom now. Very light. And this other part, there's a direction switch, so I have to come at it another way. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good lather. I'd say what I have now, in terms of viscosity, hydration level, I'm really happy with it. I think it's right on target. So 6 teaspoons of water, 45 seconds of loading, gives you, 10 passes of lather. So yeah, with this soap, it looks like you could definitely reduce the load time and then of course the water ratio as well. All right, I'm gonna do a full rinse now. Well, the Nasset that I took and have taken to quite a few uses, 220 now I think, gave me the same trouble if I skipped a day. It would be a little extra tuggy, but then on the daily shaves it'd be fine. Just, a little bit of tugging, but nothing that was bothersome at all. And my face feels really good right now. I don't feel irritation. I see a little bit of redness right here, but even a normal shave, sometimes I'll see a little redness right there. I don't really feel it. So I'm happy with the performance of the soap. There's nothing pungent about this scent. It's very smooth. If you're a night shaver, this is a good scent for you, because it's not going to disturb you. It kind of ease you into the evening. So happy with it. What kind of scent do we have? It is a little bit too kind of basic and plain for me. Maybe a little bit too much vanilla. I might appreciate a little stronger tobacco, a little bit. But that's me. That's me. It's a sweet caramel tobacco with a little bit of some noticeable amount of vanilla to it. It's not so much that if you don't like vanilla, it's possible you would still like this soap. It's not that far forward in the scent. But if you really don't like vanilla, then maybe it is detectable as vanilla. It's not completely blended with the tobacco totally, in a sense that you don't notice it. I think it's a nice blend, but you do pick out a little bit of the vanilla, and so that could trip some people up if you're in the anti-vanilla camp, if there is such a thing. All right. Well, there we go. I've got tons of lather. Let's just scoop some of this up and look at it here. The feel is very nice. Like I said, the slickness factor, the contact slickness as I'm touching my skin, it's really very nice. It is a light oily type of slickness, like a light buttery kind, which I really enjoy. So I'd say this lather is very, very enjoyable, very nice. And this is about the consistency that I like. Let's see if I grab some more of it. We put it between my hands and then we pull it apart. Let's see what kind of, yeah, it's not super elastic. It's not so hydrated that the tips here are drooping down. But I'd say this is pretty much perfect because it's nicely hydrated. I'm sure if you wanted to take it further, you could. But this is very nice performance. So, I don't know there was something about Uncle Jon's in my memory. I don't know if the proprietor, was maybe had some negative mark on his record, or maybe a negative mark to some people and other people don't care. Who knows? Sometimes the shaving world has some controversy. But strictly in terms of the performance, it may be that I get back to and look it up online. And I'm like, dang, I don't really care for that particular aspect about the owner or whatever. But I'm just going to judge the performance of the lather here, so that you guys can know that. And I like it. I like it a lot. I think it does a very good job. It's for just the buttery slickness that I told you about. It doesn't take too long to rinse off. The viscosity feels really good, on your face and in your hands. So, say it's nice. Very nice performance. I might pick another scent, if I were to decide that I'm good to support this business. I'd probably pick another scent other than this one. But that's all right. I just wanted to test out the base, and I just happened to end up with a tub of this. All right, well, there we go. 6 teaspoons, 45 seconds of loading. The prickle in the brush did come back as I hydrated the lather to the right amount for me. When it was a little too thick, it hid the feeling of the brush somewhat. And I think we're good to go. All right, the feather handled, it was tuggy, but it was 2 days of growth, so that's kind of to be expected. I don't know that this razor is the one to help the feather move along. I'll probably have to look around and find another one. My Sheraton is one that took my Nasset blade quite far, up into the hundreds. So maybe I'll try the Sheraton on the feather as well. But different grind angles, I'm sure, things like that. So there's no telling, no predicting. We'll just have to try it out. All right, now, hey, you guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Oh, hey, post shave. Let's see what we have. My face feels pretty good. I feel like trying this Deep Comforting from Nivea. It is, I think it might even have a similar scent note, like vanilla or something like that in it. That may be in this same pipe smoke blend here. It is alcohol based. I had good technique. I don't feel any of the stinging. That often happens with smoothed out blades when they get old. Very comfortable, but as you can see, it's still cutting very well. So some people throw away feather blades after 2 uses because they think they're dull. Well, they're not dull. All right. Yeah. I think there's a common element or two with this. I think that was a good choice. I think it works well. The lather itself was not a strong player in terms of the scent during the shave. 3 out of 10. Very lightly scented during the shave. 4 out of 10. We'll say 4 out of 10. It was lightly available, lightly presentable during the shave. If you find a scent that you like, and now if you like this scent, then I think it's enough to where you can enjoy it during the shave. But it's not strong by any means. And there are probably some other scents, maybe with a little bit more punch from Uncle Jon's, where it is going to be more noticeable just because of the nature of the scent. Let me see, is this a tallow soap? Coconut oil is the first ingredient. There's definitely some other shavers out there who avoid coconut oil type soaps. Oh, it does have tallow, shea butter, castor oil, stearic acid, glycerin, and fragrance. So it looks like he's kind of going for simple ingredients. Not a whole lot of other extra stuff in there. All right. Don't know the price point, so I don't know if that's a factor. All right. Yeah, that Nivea smells pretty good. That's I think it works really well with this soap. All right, well, I think we're in a happy place, so we'll end it there. Coronavirus update, man, in my state, I think the outbreaks doubled recently, so we've started out growing kind of slow in terms of cases, and now I think we're starting to hit a spike as more and more people get it. It's kind of an exponential type thing. Trying to stay safe, keep distance from folks when you're out in public. Really watch your hands and keep them clean, that sort of thing. There we go. Do the best we can, but it'll be interesting. I don't think the kids are going to go back to school this year, probably. We might spend most of the summer kind of in this kind of status as well. So it might be a while, a bit of more of a marathon than a sprint. But if we, maybe I said this yesterday, but I was watching something, and they said that if we can slow down the spread of this thing with the social distancing and keeping your hands clean and not touching your face, and just staying home anytime you can. Don't get out there and do anything if you can help it. If you can slow it down, then the bubble of cases it's not as sharp, and a lot of it doesn't happen kind of above the hospital tolerance line where they're having trouble treating the number of people that have it. If you can stretch it out, maybe it's a little bit longer, but it's a lower kind of bubble. And so the hospitals and the medical staff are able to take care of everybody. And that is, that's a better situation than having a whole bunch of people that can't be cared for because the system just wasn't designed to hold that many people. But there we go. You folks out there in other countries who have been hit by this really hard, I pray for you. I wish you well. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You have a good night. Take care.